Good evening, I'm Dan Wolf.
And I'm Laura Lee. Thanks for joining us. Today, nurses at Essentia Health Clinic, 2nd Street, filed for an election vote to join the Minnesota Nurses Association.
Now, the move follows recent organization by nurses at Essentia Health Duluth 1st Street Clinic and by Essentia's East Market Advanced Practice providers. As a union with 22,000 nurses, they say they will have a seat at the table and fight for high standards when it comes to employment terms and quality patient care.
This is a moment that healthcare workers decades from now will look back on and say, these individuals took a stand, they raised their voice, and they demanded dignity and respect in the workplace.
Now, one nurse who has been with the hospital a little more than a year says one of her biggest concerns is staffing in order to ensure patient safety. She said it's important hospitals staff enough nurses to handle the growing number of patients.
Right now, the system in which we have is not working, and it hasn't been for some time. And it's not as if our concerns haven't been brought up before. This is not any new information for people. These are issues that have been going on for a while.
Essentia
Health is responding to the nurses' move to unionize. They say that leaders acknowledge they're aware of the nurses' intent, but say they're instead encouraging the nurses to work directly with them. They added that they don't feel it's in the best interest of the nurses or patients, but plan to act in good faith throughout the process.